This is my son.
Rusty Miller.
Braden Longcola.
What position he played too?
I played right field and left field.
All right.
Austin Sims, and I play left center and right center.
Chase Richards, and I play shortstop.
Jet Dillon, I play third and pitcher.
I'm Noah Smith. I play pitcher and second.
I'm Xavier Miller, and I played catcher.
I'm Bronson Linville, and I play pitcher and shortstop.
I'm Gavin Coleman, and I played left field and right field.
Fellas, what's that hanging around your neck?
Ring.
Huh? What kind of ring is that? Huh? What? Championship ring, huh? How about that?
13-0, awesome guys. That's
You
hard to
announced
do.
the names, so we'll hand them out.
All right, here we go. Let's hear it for Ashton Spears. Not here. Noah Smith. Austin Sims. Chase Richards. Next is Xavier Miller. Braden Kankala. Bronson Linville. Ronnie, you left me hang. Come on. There we go. Next is Austin Hall. Caleb Gentry. Not here. Save this guy for last. And then him. That next guy next to last. Coach Anthony Richards. And Coach Josh Hall. I know this guy. This guy's a cornhole freak. Coach Ted Dillon. Congratulations, Coach. And Coach Rusty Miller. And this next kid, he's another cornhole freak with his daddy. It's old Jet Dillon. And last but not least, the Gavin Coleman. Guys, congratulations.
Coaches, I'd like to thank you for the time that you contribute to the upbringing of our youth and your time for doing that. Fellas, congratulations. 13-0 is pretty good no matter what league you participate in. So, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the 10 and under, 13-0 champion Pirates. Step right up here, coaches. We got to pack it in just a little.
Good looking dudes in the back. Hey,
Chase all 30.
Well, you might need them to stand here.
Good.
Champions. Smile. Can we do your certificates with your face? Oh my God.
Austin, don't see your face, Austin. Bring it down, Austin.
Whose kid is that? Whose kid is it? All right, now let's put it on the paper. Sorry, guys.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys. Thanks.
See you guys.
Yeah, which.
I'd like to call to order this regular session of the Vienna City Council for July the 8th, 2021. First item on our agenda this evening will be our public forum. We have two people that have signed up to speak this evening. Linda Ormond, you will be first, ma'am, if you would step up to the podium.
Okay, hi. Does this even on?
It
Does
is
it
on,
matter?
yes.
I am Linda Ormond. I own a home on 18th Avenue off of 28th Street. And the issue I would like to address is a stormwater runoff problem that was created when my street was resurfaced a year to a year and a half ago. The angle of the new pavement has caused the stormwater to run directly after it runs down the middle of the street for a portion into my driveway, along my side yard, and across my front yard, and it floods it. It's created an erosion problem along the side yard, but I've tried to rectify that at my own expense. This was not an issue before the resurfacing took place. Actually, my neighbors across the street, at least one neighbor, had an issue with water running into his driveway, and that was corrected when they resurfaced the street. I do have video to show what happens, and I have some stills of what I did to correct the problem on the side yard. I still do have a problem with that when there are heavy rains. I still do have some erosion, and I am retired and on a fixed income, so I have to work within my budget. I am asking for help to solve this drainage issue. Unfortunately, it seems to only be affecting me on the street, but I do own a home there, and I do pay my taxes. Other than that, I thank you for letting me speak about the issue and make you aware of it.
I'm sorry, I did not get your address.
It's 2803 18th Avenue.
Okay, all right, I'll take a look at it, ma'am.
Thank you.
Do you have the video and the pictures with you now?
I do,
Would you be able to show them?
yes.
Okay.
I can only bring it,
Right beside you to your right is a projector.
oh, I don't,
All you have to do is lay it on
oh, okay.
and
Yeah.
it'll show up on the screen.
And it'll turn it the right way?
Yeah, just
Yeah.
center it right up there and.
Not like that. We all know your password now.
No, forget it. All right, this actually was not a rainy day when I videoed this, but you can still see what happens. It goes almost into the middle of my driveway and across. And that is a storm runoff that goes on the other side of my house.
So it's not hitting the neighbor upstream from you at all?
No, just aimed for me.
That's fine. I'll be up
Okay.
tomorrow. I'll bring our Public Works Director
Okay, I
with me. We'll
appreciate
take a look. That's the first time that you've said anything about this. I wasn't aware you had a,
Yeah, I wasn't sure what to do about it, to tell you the truth.
that's fine. No, you're doing just fine. We'll
Yeah.
take a look.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
Yep.
thank you for coming.
Brenda Powell is next.
Yes, my name is Brenda Powell, and I live at 1409 31st Street in Vienna. I wanted to say I think it's wonderful, the acknowledgement that you give the youth here. It's just a great thing to boost their morale and make them feel good, and I really appreciate it myself, even though I don't have any young children. that you do that. So I want to commend you on that. I wanted to bring forth also that it's going to be spoke about tonight about the TIP 411. And I think that is an awesome thing for the police department to have for the public. And what I'm hoping is that Chief Pfeiffer might go on the Facebook page for the police department and maybe do a live stream or a record and put that on there about it and explain it a little bit more for the public. I think that would be great too. Another reason why I'm here this evening is I want to talk about the American Rescue Plan Fund that's going to be voted on tonight, accepted or denied, as far as where to put the money. I wanted to comment, and the fact of it is that we have so many projects that are going on right now within our city that's going to cost a lot of money. And it would be great for that money to go into the water and sewer project, to where that it can address, the cost and help some with that. So I think that would be great. But I just wanted to bring that up this evening too, that, you would consider doing that. Thank you so much.
Let the record reflect that I've taken roll that all members of council, with the exception of Mr. Azinger, are present this evening. Having a quorum, we will proceed. The minutes from the council meeting held on June the 24th, 2021 have been printed, posted, and circulated. Are there any corrections to the minutes? If there are no objections, then the minutes will stand approved as posted. Report of the treasurer, Councilman Leach.
Thank you, Mayor. I've received reconciliation funds for the City of Vienna for July 6, 2021. I've reviewed the accounts. They appear in order, and the city is financially solvent. For sure.
All righty. We have no unfinished business this evening, so we'll move right on into new business. The first item on our agenda this evening is a resolution for the bid approval for salt de-icer for the 21-22 budget year. Councilman Leach.
Sealed bids for the salt de-icer for 21-22 budget year were open Thursday, June 24, 2021 at 9:30 a.m. with the following results. Morton Salt, 122.91 a ton delivered. Compass Minerals, 93.26 a ton delivered. Cargill, 88.12 ton delivered. Mid-Atlantic Salt, no bid. After careful review of the proposals, the recommendation for council approval from the Budget and Finance Committee is Cargill at $88.12 a ton delivered. Funding from this project is General Fund, account 570-5541.
I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the low bid from Cargill at $88.12 a ton for salt for the upcoming year.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the low bid from Cargill for salt. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, then I'll call for the question. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. Second item this evening is the bid approval of the paving for various streets. Councilman Leach.
Sealed bids for the paving of the various streets were opened on Thursday, June 24, 2021 at 9 a.m. with the following results. Brown asphalt, $734,181. Jimmy Harper Construction, $960,320. After careful review of the bid proposals, the recommendation for council approval from the Budget and Finance Committee for the paving of various streets is brown asphalt for $734,181. Funding for this project is the city's general fund, account 570-6558.
I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the low bid from Brown Asphalt in the amount of $734,181 for the first paving project of the year.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the low bid from Brown Asphalt for $734,181. Is there any further discussion?
Craig, how many miles of street is that? I know we always bring that up. Do you know how many approximately?
Exact number, Mayor, you have the location, that on
It does not total it up, though. It does it by
sections.
project, okay?
Yeah, I saw that, but I didn't know if we
Yeah.
knew how many miles of streets were getting paved.
This was actually a really great bid. We had estimated 1.2 million for this, and to come in at 734, and Brown is the same contractor that did our paving last year and did an excellent job. I think we're doing really great in that. So
And another question, because I know someone I asked this before, what's the difference between a cement street and a blacktop street? We alternate every year. Is that what we do, Craig?
No, usually the cement, concrete streets we do in-house, but at first council meeting in August, you'll be approving the bid for concrete streets.
Okay.
They go out in the paper next Tuesday.
So we don't ever change streets. They're always, if it's a concrete street, we're gonna leave it that. We'll never change it all to
We've paved concrete streets in the past.
with blacktop.
It all has to do with the curb and gutter line and that. If I can do an overlay and it doesn't interfere with the people's downspouts coming out, then I'll try to do that. Like Crestview, we did that a couple years ago. It was concrete, it was paved.
Okay.
All right, hearing no further discussion, I'll call for the question. All those in favor of the low bid from Brown Asphalt in the amount of $734,181, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. The next item on our agenda is the bid approval for the safety surface for the large playground piece. Councilman Leach.
Sealed bids for a safety surface for the large playground piece were opened on Friday, April 23rd, 2021 at 10 a.m. with the following results. Davis Athletics, the sole bidder at $18,850. After careful review of the bid proposals, the recommendation for council approval from the Budget and Finance Committee for the purchase of a safety surface is Davis Athletics for $18,850. Funding for this project is from the general fund budget 540-6558 in the amount of $15,000 and 540-5541 in the amount of $3,850. And as a note here, Park Director Steve Black has asked the money originally allotted in the 21-22 budget for a playground piece be used for this purpose instead.
May I have that, please? This is a sample of the surface. We'll pass that around. You're welcome to look at it. It's not exactly AstroTurf. It's much stronger material, but it does have a cushion to it. And so it will be a great safety feature. Because we typically use mulch when we put in these playground pieces.
Is the proposal, or the proposal that Steve is wanting to do with this, in place of what was spec'd and bid?
Inspect and bid for what, Roger?
What's on the agenda?
No. That is the safety surface. What he's saying is in last year's budget, we had $15,000 set aside to buy a piece of playground equipment. And so we didn't buy that piece of playground equipment. And what he would like to do is use $15,000 of that money and then take the other $38.50 out of his materials budget to make the $18.50.
Okay.
So it's not really new money. It's just anytime you change a project, it has to come back to council for approval. So he's wanting to change the project from the piece of equipment to the surface underneath the brand new big piece that we just got.
All right.
Okay? Any further discussion? And I'll call for the question. All those in favor of the bid from Davis Athletics for the amount of $18,850?
Did we have a motion in a second? Did I miss that?
I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the low bid from Davis Athletics. Russell, she's doing your job. You're supposed to keep me in line. Okay, so I'll entertain a motion for the approval.
So moved.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the bid from Davis Athletics.
There has been a motion.
There you go. I'm right on top of it. Is there any further discussion now? Hearing none, then I'll call for the question. All those in favor of the bid from Davis Athletics for $18,850, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. You'd had a blank sheet of paper, wouldn't you? Yeah, that doesn't work. All right. Item number 4 this evening is General Fund Budget Revision number 1. Councilman Leach.
Yes, this is for 21-22 general fund budget revision number 1. For a good purpose in my view, this is for the police department, account number 45522, dues and subscriptions. They want to have a net increase to $5,400 to fund the TIP 411 software, which Chief Pfeiffer gave us a demonstration of in the meeting on Tuesday.
Yes, sir. If
Monday.
you would please give us a run through, Mike.
Sure. So what I'm handing out is just kind of an informational sheet on what I'll talk about here for a second. I did, via email, send mayor and council, the proposal for this. And basically, what this is a web-based application in order for people to contact the police department. And when I say web-based, you know, we do think of, you know, just the internet, but this solution actually customizes an app as well for download for your phone, and it's free for the public to download. And it's a way for them to send in tips on any crime that we would put up there or on whatever they want to send a tip to the police department for. It's a way to send it anonymously. You know, probably if you follow us on Facebook, we do from time to time put photographs of, you know, alleged crimes and suspects, whatnot on there. And we usually get responses through Facebook Messenger because we post it on Facebook. Many of those people are concerned with their anonymity, sending it that way. Please, I don't want to get involved, but this is so-and-so in the picture, and we look into it from there. And it has greatly increased our solvable rate also. So this solution would not only allow us to receive tips, but we can also put out what's called push notifications. So when the public would download our app with however we want to make the, you know, the icon look, we can send out alerts. And I mentioned this at Budget and Finance meeting Tuesday. I think we could extend this a little bit even beyond just the police department and use it for other departments. If we have something that went out to our citizens, whether it's a street project or something the fire department's doing or whatever, so people are in the know. And I think that's what people would like to hear. And some things about this that's proprietary. I can also have like customizable groups that we send information to and keep these tips organized. And I think it's a great way for the public to reach out to us. And it gives them an avenue. And I know people, I'm sure they do this everywhere, but I hear from time to time, you know, here's what happened the other day, and I just didn't want to bother the police at the time. And it's like, wow, I wish we'd know about it. So this just gives you an avenue to do that. I do have a short video if you're interested, but basically on that sheet is a general overview what I just handed you. I just think it's new. We haven't done something like this. I don't know anybody in our area that's done something like this. I think with the right management and control it could be really successful here, and it would be really beneficial to the citizens. I think it would be a really nice thing to do. So if there's any, there's also something I wanted to add. Something only this solution does is if somebody doesn't want to download an app, you don't have to download the app. You can customize it however you want. So if it could be VPD tip, whatever, you can text it from your phone, any phone, doesn't matter. Send it to VPD tip and text it, and we can even reply if we want to, and it comes back to the person the same way they sent it in. So if it's through the app, reporting a tip that way, you can respond that way if you need to. You can respond via text, email, whatever you want to do, and I think it's a great way. And to answer Brenda's kind of question, I guess, yes, part of this company, there is a media launch, and there is, I think they call them web banners. I'm not an IT person, but you put on, they would be on the website, they would be on Facebook. You can just hit them as well. If you log in the app, it's kind of hard to see. I don't know how to zoom up, but this one right there on the right, you can see this is Cincinnati's, but has like their phone number, there's their Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff right there. So you click on the app, it takes you to all that stuff. So
I think it's a neat new way, innovative way to get information, to push out notifications. And I think it's definitely worth a try. So that money that is proposed tonight, and I talked to the vendor as well, and the third year, this is good for 2 years, the third year for that subscription would be free. So it'd be $5,400 for 3 years of service for this. So I think it's worth a try.
Be neat, Mike, to maybe even, once we get this approved, 'cause I'm sure it'll get approved, but to have some kind of training night for some of this, I mean, have a night where they can come in and you guys can walk them through the process, because I think a lot of people will do this.
Yeah, I think it's important too, especially for the media launch and to explain it, and just like Brenda mentioned, I said that's important. So I think once it's explained, and if you're a citizen and want to be in the know, I would enjoy that as a citizen, you know what I mean?
Right.
For that stuff too, and give you that anonymity if you wanted to, if you don't want to make that call, that's great. It helps the police solve crime, and that's the bottom line, and it helps people be in the know. So I think it's a neat tool. It's something we could use here and hopefully use it well.
All right, thank you, Chief.
Okay, thanks.
Councilman Leach, budget revision number 1.
Set aside. I've already gone over it. I'm sorry, I already reviewed it. Was there a motion?
We haven't done the motion yet. Are you good?
Yes.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll entertain a motion for the approval of general fund budget revision number 1 in the amount of $5,400.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve general fund budget revision number 1. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, then I'll call for the question. All those in favor of general fund budget revision number 1, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Chief, before we move on, Christian, would you like to talk for just a moment about the camera thing?
That's Derek.
Oh, I'm sorry, Derek, man, your biggest hit. Never mind. Chief,
Yes.
would you give us just a quick overview on the cameras?
Yeah, so we were talking, a discussion among council was on camera expansion and whatnot. We do, the proposal probably isn't complete yet, but we maybe could extend some of the camera things into high trafficked areas in public. I think that Vienna is probably the right size maybe to do something like that. So once I get a proposal together where it's a high traffic area or something like that with the technology that's in the stuff that we have right now, if that continues, I think that could be a really valuable tool as well.
That's for the license plate reader? Is that what we're talking about?
No,
or something else?
this would just be a camera. That license plate reader project is completely separate.
Okay.
We're still on hold on that.
Okay.
So, and the reason I'm on hold, there's some approval that it needs to be made from another agency. That's
Okay.
what I'm really waiting on there. And that's kind of limited. And I can talk to you about the project
Okay,
further,
yeah.
but
I just wasn't sure.
I don't
we were
know if that
talking about
answers
overall.
kind of what.
The only reason why I brought that up was I just think that the innovations that you all are bringing forth from the department are exactly what we need right now. This 411 app, it gives complete confidentiality. If someone says, I've got a problem, but, we always hear it all the time. Here's a problem, but don't tell them I said so, because they don't want repercussions. This right here gives you a perfect opportunity to do that safely.
Yeah.
And
Well,
the reason
and-
why I mentioned about the cameras is, I know that if we can get a network established with the Ring cameras or the other security cameras, and then we fill it in with our camera system, then I think we get great coverage all over the city in case something does happen. And the third thing is, as Melissa brought up, the license plate reader. That's a great tool right there if we can get this last hurdle jumped.
Really to spin up on that license plate reader project was a grant through Homeland Security we applied for, and we got it. They allocated $66,000 toward this project, and I think the complete project was $72,000, and that would be really effective. in my opinion. But yes, we did also have a camera registration for people that do have, security cameras outside their homes. We don't access the security cameras. It just lets us know where to go look if there is a crime in the neighborhood, and there's cameras on my house, and if somebody else like, hey, that's probably a good place to check. So the people say, yeah, I'll review it and I'll let you know if I have anything on the cameras, because that really helps in to solve a crime.
Yeah, so we're building a safety net that I think is going to be very community involved and provide you all with some extra
I think
tools.
so, and I, every place is unique. Vienna's really unique. Our size, I just think our size enables us to do things like that. In a giant place, I don't think it would be quite as effective. But we have citizens that are involved. People, we have a very good relationship with our citizens and the community, and it's something I think we can really use in a good way.
Well, thank you for your efforts, Chief. Okay, the next item on our agenda this evening is the continuing discussion about the American Rescue Plan funds. And Councilman Bibby, you weren't here at the last meeting, but I did present the things that you sent in. Craig mentioned earlier that the bids are going to go out for the other project in the street paving. The other one that's going to go out is we've identified all of the fire hydrants that are out of service. We're going to go out to bid to see what the cost would be to repair all 9 of them. Chief, Show, anything you want to add to that?
Like Craig just mentioned, we found out now that there's 10 of them, but I just want people to understand we've had a few calls about the bags over the hydrants. That hydrant is out of service, and we don't want our people waste time to hit it. That doesn't mean you don't have fire protection still. We carry water on our trucks, plus we have other trucks come in and can lay lines. It's going to be more time consuming to do with the hydrants broken as they are. And once they get repaired, it'll put things back there where they should be.
And there's only one of the fire hydrants that's actually broken, but the other ones all have like a valve that you have to turn on before you can actually hit the fire hydrant, and that just slows the process down too far. So we're going to eliminate all that and put all the new ones in with council's approval of that, and we'll find out what the actual dollar amount is on that once the bid comes back. Okay, so that one right there, we'll have numbers on it very soon. Okay. So, I still have the list that we had from last meeting. I guess the thing to do this evening, since this is a discussion, is you all have had an extra 2 weeks to think about this. Stormwater and sewer projects are, obviously a priority because we have so many of them. But what else are you all thinking about?
Mayor, I think my top 2 are pond run and then balancing the system, and so that's where I am. And then
Okay.
as far as fire hydrants, other things will can trickle in.
Well, the
Now, a
fire-
lot of this has to do with the department head's input too, but those are my 2 priorities top.
Okay.
It'd be neat to do something, we talk about the lost revenue, but I think about, we just gave a 3-year B&O breaks for a company coming in. Would that have kept them from coming in? I don't know, but we'll never know. But it'd be neat to help with business retention, help out some of our small businesses that survived through this pandemic with the B&O tax relief somehow, some way. I don't know numbers. It'd have to be Amy would have to run by what we could do for our businesses that are currently here as compared to, like I said, I'm all about giving to the new business, but how could we do something for the businesses that were here, that were affected? That's just my added from last week.
Along that same lines, Tony Tiano talked to us on several occasions to where there was grants and money available for that the regional council was handling. And I don't know where we ended up on that, but I know at one point she spoke relative to that a lot of these small businesses, or not very many of the small businesses, had entertained the idea of taking advantage of that.
We've spent every bit $450.
Pardon me?
We've granted every bit of it but $450.
Fantastic.
So the response really ticked up.
Good.
Okay.
Thank you.
So,
Since last meeting, I did request that the house on 8th Avenue be appraised. I do not have that appraisal back. I will give it to you, and we're going to ask for a update from the engineering company. He'll be here in the morning to give us an update on all of the other estimates of alternatives in that neighborhood. So we'll have the cost there, plus we know what the value of that house is, all right?
And I would ask that when we get the appraisal, that when we disclose it to council, it be done in an executive session as opposed to an open session, just because we want to keep those numbers at this point confidential. So if we do choose action, the people that would be looking at the project wouldn't know exactly what it is we're looking at.
Okay.
yeah, I didn't have an opportunity to speak about the ARP. When I look at that money, $2.6 million, that's not a lot of money when you consider all the laundry list of projects that we need to do. I look at it like, how do you maximize it to get the most out of it? And I've mentioned this before, and I believe this. If you use it for water and sewer, if we just say, hey, okay, water and sewer, we're going to send that $2.6 million to you to do, the projects that you need to do, then we don't have those borrowing costs, okay, and we don't have to raise water and sewer fees. We go back to capital reserves to look at some of these other projects that we need to do. And capital reserves were up to $7.5 million. And of that $7.5 million, 1.5 million of it, 1.6 million of it is CARES Act money that we got. So that's, once again, extra money. So if you look at it as a whole, it's over $4 million that we've gotten from the federal government. But if we use the 2.6 for water and sewer, we get the most bang for our buck out of it, right? But if you start taking money out of the ARP and you put it in the general fund, or you use it to do Pond Run, we need to do Pond Run. I don't disagree with that. But if you do it that way, every dollar that you take out of the bucket that you can use for water and sewer, it's going to cost you more money, and you're going to have to raise water and sewer fees. So I think it's about how we do it, to be very thoughtful about how we do it so we get the most impact out of it. I think, every project that everybody's mentioned has been a worthy project. That's not the question. So when you go back to thinking about capital reserves, how much money? We're at $7.5 million, and if you look at historically where we've been, in April 2019, we had $3.7 million, okay? So we're up to $7.5 million, so that's quite a bit of money. So I guess if you use the capital reserves and you think, where is everybody comfortable with on capital reserves and how much you want in capital reserves? You know what I'm saying? Am I making sense? I think that if we need to be really thoughtful about how we use that money or how we draw it, because that we're going to get more impact, more bang for our buck. But if we do it the wrong way, we're going to be paying borrowing costs, and then we're going to come back to the public and have to raise water and sewer fees.
Where are we at? Say we didn't have any of this money. Say we didn't give it to the water and sewer. If we didn't have this money, and this as a councilman, I should probably know this, but I don't. Where are we at right now with utility, the water, in that fund to fix major things? I mean, if we didn't have this, act like we don't have it. Where are we at? Do we have to raise water and sewer? Because I know we always talk about we have the best water sewer rates in the state of West Virginia. That's good in a way, but then again, it shows, I think, some poor planning on our part, because people are still paying the same thing. That's great, but the city's getting bigger, there's more residents, we can talk about that, but eventually we can't say that anymore. So I want to know where we are financially with utility board if we didn't have this money. I'd like to kind of play that out,
Okay, so let me give you let me give you the nickel tour on this.
All right.
Amy Roberts is an expert on this. I will give you my version. all right? Water and sewer is an enterprise fund. It generates its own money. The general fund is what we get off taxes and all of our fees and those kind of things. Enterprise funds are self-serving. We have one product to sell, that's water. We can't sell any more than what people use. We can't put it on sale, so you can't, increase it that way. The sewer rate's based on how much water you use, so that's a factor that's determined by our water. When you look at the reconciliation of funds that you have right here, the state of West Virginia says that you are allowed to have 12% of your operating budget in a reserve account.
I remember that, yeah.
Okay, and so when you look at this and you see the water reserve, in that water reserve, we have the money in there now to fully fund our reserve account, which is what we are required to do. All right, our bond rates are perfectly back in line where they need to go, so our water and sewer is perfectly healthy. All right, now, where you run into problems is if you want to go out and you want to do a $5 million project, well, there's paperwork that you have to submit to the Public Service Commission with projections of will your water rates pay that money back. And that's where you get into trouble right there is if you take on a large project and your water rates won't generate enough money to pay it back, then the only option you have is to raise your water rates. Because that's the only way that you can put money into that water fund is to pay through your rates. Now, there have been examples in the past where you could borrow on a short-term basis money from your general fund. That's something we don't do. Your water and sewer rates should cover whatever you have. And so, when you look at the sheet, we're absolutely where we need to be. Now, we will never have the money to do a $3 million project. It won't allow you to have a savings account in your enterprise funds. If it is, then your rates are too high, and that's just not the way it's set up to do that. All right, and so you kind of hope that you plan things out so that as your water lines or as your tanks or whatever it is start to age, that you've got it in place to where you go out for these bonds and then you replace those. And a lot of cities automatically raise water and sewer rates. They raise it a very small percentage, 2% a year or 2% every 2 years, because as time goes on how expensive valves, piping, all of the infrastructure costs. And so you have to allow for that. Craig, have I said pretty much the...
Yeah, 23 years I've been here, and every year we should be raising rates every year.
Yeah, and nobody likes water rates. I hate them, but that's the only way that you keep ahead of inflation. Is you have to incrementally go up with whatever the cost is. A $20 piece of pipe that we put in 10 years ago is probably what, $35 now? Yeah, if you can get it. But that's the reason why, and that's how that works, Mike. It's a separate fund, and we don't have a product that we can do anything to increase the revenues on. We sell a gallon of water for X amount of dollars, and that's why as time goes on, you just kind of have to bite the bullet sometimes because of inflation. You just can't keep up.
Let me ask. Okay, so you were saying that we can't just accumulate a lot because the Public Service Commission won't let you do that. Because you can't just keep accumulating. You can't just have that, like this big reserve of $3 million or $5 million, whatever, sitting there.
Correct. Up
Okay.
until a few years ago, you couldn't even have the 12%. It was
Okay.
your rates had to be in line.
So then you mentioned these other cities that raise their rates every year or in some sort of increment. How is it that they are not having this big chunk of money sitting there? Is it because they are also spending it as quick as they're raising it?
Yes.
So, in a way, Craig, you mentioned we should be raised. Why haven't we raised rates? Who? I don't know.
Council does not like to vote for.
Well, but here we are. Talking about $30 million worth of projects you've mentioned before. That's not a solid number, but you've thrown a big number out there to us, and we have some real big problems. And I feel like it's kind of the perfect storm of everybody in the past saying, oh, it's so great because we have all these low rates, and oh, council doesn't want to raise rates because it's probably political suicide or whatever. Well, here we are with a whole lot of problems, and we're going to have to do a real good job of eventually educating our citizens on the fact that we need to take care of some stuff, right? And I agree. I mean, if we can use this money wisely and not have to raise rates as much, I mean, I'm all about that, but I almost feel like it's eventually going into an inevitable thing, but we can lessen it with these funds because of the way they're designated.
Right. So to Mike's point, we discussed a sewer project on 12th Street, okay? And we don't even have the full number of that yet because Craig was talking about, above ground retention, holding tanks, and et cetera. So we don't even have that whole number. That probably, when it's all said and done with, is going to be $2.5 million. How would we, if we wanted to do that without any of this ARP money, how would that happen? Well, we would have to go out and have a rate study and get a bond because there's not enough money generated to service the debt. Okay? That's the whole point. So, I mean, I didn't understand at first, how water and sewer operates, but when you understand how it operates, I mean, it's like, that price is the lowest price, and so there's not extra room. You just can't go out and do stuff. So it should be raised. But we've grown accustomed to this in Vienna of it not being raised incrementally. And so people get very upset about it. But the mayor is 100% correct. For better or for worse, we do have, the lowest rates. And the lowest rates in the Middle Ohio Valley, some of the lowest rates in West Virginia. And while that is good, that's also bad. So.
The last time that we discussed this in length and in great detail, the last time that water rates was raised, and I didn't support that raise at the time, kind of for the very reason that we're discussing tonight. It's a little bit here and there, as opposed to one big rate increase, down the road. I think is more acceptable to the citizens, and that was obvious with the last rate increase, and it became very well known. And so, I think we need to keep an eye on that, or at some point, take some action on it.
I can speak as a citizen myself. If my rate is going up a little bit every other year or whatever it is, but I see Public Works out there repairing stuff and replacing stuff and working on a regular basis, I know my money is doing what it's supposed to.
Sure.
But if eventually we get to a place where, oh no, we've got stuff backing up in people's houses, and oh no, we've got water lines breaking all the time and that kind of stuff, and now we're going to have to everybody take a big bite, I kind of have a problem with that.
Yeah.
So
and that's managing by crisis is
yes,
exactly what it is.
Yes, and that's not getting ahead of it.
Because we really haven't done much like replacement of, maybe I'm wrong, but of replacing the infrastructure, the translucent whatever you call it, the lines. Have we replaced a lot of those? We know they're there, but we haven't spent have we spent money on replacing those lines?
Every time we find one.
So we're replacing them as we find them, but we're not being proactive by, we know they're going to happen, they're there, but we're just kind of doing patchwork, instead of paving the road, we're fixing potholes, that's the kind of thing, because eventually they've got to be replaced, the whole city. But, when we don't have the money, getting back to my original thing, without this money for the ARP money, do we have the money to do these things? And we don't without raising rates, and like Melissa said, you don't, as a council and the mayor, you don't want to raise rates, things like that, but I'm in this for the betterment of the city. I'm not in this for election 3 years from now. So I want to do what's happening now if we take a bite now instead of kicking this can down the road like we've done in a few areas, we haven't done a good job about managing our issues that we have. And I know Craig's done a phenomenal job of what he's had, but, you know, money only goes so far.
Well, you know, I mean, in a perfect world, that's the way it works. You simply add a little to it every time, okay? And Craig, I don't remember the last time we did it. It was like 11 or 13 years. No, it was more than that.
I've done, we've raised rates twice since I've been here.
In 23 years. Yeah. And so what happens is, as you continue to kick that can down the road, eventually it comes back to bite you, okay? Before this started, we had the lowest water rate of any municipality in the state of West Virginia. So we did a rate increase, we got our tanks, we got all that, and we're still the lowest municipality in the state of West Virginia, okay? So Craig does a good job with what we have, but, you know, the talk about going out and replacing water lines, you know, there's a balance there that you have to achieve, because you just can't go out and tear up streets to replace water lines. I know of another city not very far away from us that was still using wooden water lines, and they worked, okay? And so it's like when they finally did their streets, they took all those out. But, you know, it's a cost basis. That's the whole thing right there. It's just, you know, it's expensive to do these things. And I know that we've patched some streets, and now we've got to the point where we have to replace entire sections, and that's the way it should be done. You know, you can only make so many repairs. But even still, these projects that we're talking about with the ARP money, you know, we have an opportunity here to do $2.6 million worth of projects and make a difference.
So when the VUB meets next, when is that?
22nd.
The
23rd.
23rd. So we will have had, so we're going to be, okay, there's there. So it's the day after our next council meeting. So next council, we still won't have anything from VUB, correct? So as far as like reports and like what Craig gave us last week with estimates and projects and that kind of stuff. So the VUB will meet the day after we meet the next council. So hopefully in 2 councils, will they be able to supply us with their top 10 recommendations of projects that need to be done? Because then that's the real meat of it that we need to start doing, is start prioritizing that and saying, okay, yes, you know, 12th Street, or yes this, and yes the sewer, and yes the water, whatever, and start laying it out. Will they be able to give us a recommendation in 2 councils from now?
There's also another way to look at that, by the way, is just to resign yourself to the fact that the most intelligent thing to do is to send that money to the VUB and let that board decide what they need to do. We don't, you know, that board functions, they vote on what they need to do. It's not really a function of this council. It's a function of this council on what you want to do with the ARP money, okay? So if you send that to the VUB, let the VUB do their thing, we don't have to get stuck in the weeds on it and figure out how we want to prioritize these other things and how we want to pay for it. And once again, we should look at the capital reserves, which is up to $7.5 million. $1.5 million of that was basically free money as the CARES Act, okay? And, you know, I don't know what everybody's comfort zone is on how far they want to deplete capital reserves. I know I don't want to deplete it too much. It kind of makes me nervous. But I think that we have a lot to be pretty thankful for, that we have $7.5 million in capital reserves, when, you know, a year and a half ago we had half of that.
You mentioned the hydrants. Are the hydrants under fire, or are they under water?
Sure.
So they're a water thing. So that's a public works thing.
Yes.
Okay.
That's 2 different, well,
That's not a very expensive project.
Yeah, but still, I wanted to know, you know, where that was falling, you know, if we were going to use capital reserves to do the fire hydrants, or if that was going to be something that could be put the ARP money towards.
Mm-hmm.
We'll wait and see what the number comes in. I mean, there's lots of places we can fund that from.
Or that's already, I mean, you could do it out of the reserve that's currently in.
Well, you
the-
can't spend
the
your
utility
reserve
board,
down,
right?
because then you have to rebuild it. I mean, you can, but, all right. It can.
Yeah, they came out of water.
No, no, I thought they came out of
It can.
Public Works. No, I'm not saying that it can or can't. I thought that we've done Public Works. with
We've done projects with CDBG on that, but it depends on what neighborhoods they're in. Okay? All right?
And
But,
Public Works is general fund.
yeah, yes,
Utility Board is in the process.
Okay,
Yes.
sorry, yeah.
okay. So we'll, we'll know that number next week. It's what?
I'm gonna say something. You
Uh,
guys don't wanna, for 22 years or 20 years, I've had this 10-year plan in Public Works, okay? It's 10 years for everything we do in water and everything I need in sewer. Okay, every year that keeps getting pushed back because we don't have the funds to do it. So don't think there's not a plan there. I mean, 5, 6 years ago, we went through and hit the tanks, and we've had all the tanks, the well fields. We did a lot of work in the water and sewer system. Put a new lift station in, which was almost 9 years past its due date. So we have that plan in place. If you all need to see that, please get a hold of me, or please get a hold of the above board. They will show you that plan of action that we have. We just need to follow it. And we have done that.
And that's the problem with Craig. I've spent some time with you. You're a top-notch cookie. You know your water. You know your stuff. I'm very impressed with your role. But like you said, you have the plan, just the money's not there, and
Right.
that's what I see. But because you guys are running a great ship, you really are, but not having the resources to do these projects, we can have a great plan, but if the money's not there, we can't do them. On down the road, and it gets older and older. I mean, nothing gets newer.
We
So.
talk about rate increases, the rate structures. I mean, we set our rates when we raise the water rates, and they're paid really high in reference to, what the percentage was. But 100% of $1 to $2. But when we don't raise rates like 2% every year, we survive, but we don't do the things we need to do.
Right.
It's like, when we raise rates, I was placing 500-600 hydrants a year. When that money dwindles because of the price of product goes up, chlorine, labor rates, equipment, trucks, everything goes up, that fire hydrant or valve replacement goes down. Okay, so this year I'm gonna place 1 fire hydrant. Where I was replacing 10 to 15, 20 valves a year, now I'm placing 2. Okay, instead of going out and replacing the 1.25 inch galvanized lines, which are 2-inch lines in-house, we can't do that. That gets backed out. That's still part of that 10-year plan. So that's why we need to raise rates 2 to 3% every year.
So where has the breakdown been? Is it what is the process? Explain that to me. So if you're looking at your 10-year plan, you're looking, even your couple years, 3 years down the road, and you see we're gonna have this project, we're gonna need this much money, then what happens? Is that something internally for the utility board, or are you guys sending something to us, or?
Every year, the utility board reviews the 10-year plan. Okay, every year. We go through and add things, take things out, and we feel it's needed. It's there. You wish to do, you can.
Right.
Okay. Then decided where we're gonna go. We're gonna raise rates, we're gonna ask for rates, we're gonna do these projects or not. That's where we gotta go into the cost studies of each one. We haven't done that. Okay, because we know the rate structure's not there, and I get a lot of, no offense to you guys seem like you're right on it, but it's, I talk to council people and say, hey, are you considering raising rates? Absolutely not. So it
Well,
doesn't
I'm going to give you permission to talk to us freely about, please, because we're all, I'm one person, I'm one vote up here, but I would rather know what the real need is and us be able to come to some sort of a consensus about it. I can't speak for previous councils, but I hope that this one's different.
Well, Kim's taking the tour, she knows.
Yes.
You're scheduled to take a tour.
For July, baby.
The smell's gonna be really good at that time, so you take the tour, you bring Mike with you. So we can stick him down the holes and,
Yeah, I want that one. That's all I need.
yeah.
I respect what you do, brother.
Jim's been around our complexes, he's witnessed our stuff, so.
Well, Craig, I got a question for you. We're sitting up here trying to comprehend all this. Kim's obviously on the board, learning a lot about that. I understand. We had a big conversation about this water and sewer rate hike. The reserve, 12.5% reserve, was a big driver of that. Also considering the rates relative in Vienna to others. The other thing is that, of course, the enterprise fund, water and sewer, is designed and legislated to be a standalone system that has to support itself. Kim's suggesting that we take this windfall and use that to boost that water and sewer specifically to get the best bang for the buck, and I understand that too. But there's the balance of other things that we owe our citizens, not just their toilet flushes and their water turns on, from an enterprise fund that's supposed to support itself. For example, I mentioned Pond Run. So my question to you is, in this allocation, as we sit up here and try to understand this, you know, what's your pick list? I mean, relative to some of these other projects we're talking about, realizing water and sewer is your baby, but still. You know, you got other department heads you got to think about too. Not to put you on the spot.
Well, let me jump in real quick too, though. But so if we've
Show
got
you get nothing.
everybody else, though, I mean, there are other department heads that we can serve through the CARES Act money and through, you know, capital reserves and
Well,
stuff.
that's the
So,
question.
so that's the thing. Like, if we can
Which
see
one?
all of it as one big sum, and then split this out. Okay, this is ARP money. This has to go to these types of things. Okay, there. And then this is this. If we have one big list, and then we can start connecting the dots and saying, okay, we can actually do all 5 things on this list, and this is going to be paid for this way, and this is going to be paid for this way. I don't think we necessarily need to get possessive or territorial about the ARP money, because it naturally has boundaries. And so if we'll just comply to those boundaries for that, and then all the other stuff that we have more freedom on, pay for those things that way. And I would hope that department heads wouldn't be like, well, I didn't get any ARP money. Yeah, but we paid for it this way, you know. So I hope that we can see it all as one lump sum. How do we need to spend it? I'm sorry, I'm talking with my hands now. I'm getting excited. So.
You want to know from Mr. Metz, what are the projects that he would like to see from the utility board?
Sure.
And a projected dollar amount. And then you would also like to see what the projects are from the other department heads in the regular part of the city, what those dollar amounts are, and then decide which way to allocate general fund or ARP money to cover the projects.
And the
That's
best-
why you're the city attorney right there. You summarized it good. But it is, that's good. I mean, so we have all these projects on the board. Okay, there's our goal. We had all this money. There's the cost of it. Gives us something to work toward as compared to not doing anything, so.
He did not answer your
He did
question.
not answer my question.
Non-responsive.
That was good, though.
You have my list.
You can't give him enough money.
Yeah, it's like, you know,
He is a bottomless pit.
I'm not a kid and I'm not in a candy store, but just look at that that way. I mean, I'm taking my little grandkid in the candy store and say, pick up one item, and he wants 3, you know, because he wants the gum, the Snickers bar, and the Hershey bar, so but things need to be done. I presented to you last council meeting what I felt was important, and that was the sewer upgrade, and that was the water upgrade, okay? And the stair of the pond run needs to be taken care of too, but, you know, we can, there's only so much money, okay? I'll eat it all up, and just the 2 projects I missed in the water and sewer, so I know the chief needs things, I know the police chief needs things, and I know the parks needs things, I'm not gonna deny that, so. And they should have that stuff, what he wanted reference sirens, he should have that, and what police chief needs, they need it, okay? We need it also. So that's your all's choice, not mine.
So to go back to process again. All right, so you were saying if we will just release the funds and give it to the utility board, then the utility board is the one that's choosing these projects. Is that right? Or are we choosing projects?
The utility board's a separate entity. If you were to just assign the ARP money to the utility board, you're saying spend it on utility board projects.
Okay.
And just to be clear, the pond run is not, it's
Right.
separate, it's something totally different, so this would just be water and sewer. But as is clearly stated, you know, just one sewer project is pretty much gonna get you there. I mean, you know, and the water project that he wants to do, if we can get both of those done for that 2.6, I mean, we knocked that out, right? That's out, and it's done, boom. But like I said a few minutes ago, it doesn't mean we can't do these other projects. We absolutely can. We have our capital reserves or, you know, we're up to 7.5 million, $1.5 million of that CARES Act dollars. That's where we need to start pulling that money from. You get your most bang for your buck that way.
Are we done?
Hold on.
All right.
I'm thinking.
Mike's still thinking.
No, I'm done.
All right. So we'll get estimates. We'll get the list from the utility board. We'll do, there are other projects. The stormwater issue is still a major issue. I know that you all get frequent calls from people all over town with stormwater issues. You know, she's here tonight to talk about her street. There are things that, we need to at least take a look at in every one of those areas, okay? Because that project from 28th Street down to 15th Avenue would improve the lives of, 60, 70 homes right there. And so, we've got all kinds of things that we need to look at, and we just need to narrow the field down and find a direction, all right? It's a benefit that we have the money, so that's a good thing, all right? So we'll continue with this discussion, and Craig will be back with some specific requests, all right? Okay? All right. So that concludes our agenda this evening. I'm going to ask for an executive session. We have a legal matter that we need to talk to as council. Sometimes these things are kind of lengthy, so before we go out, Delegate Conley is here with us this evening, and he brought a informational thing. I'll be glad to read this, but if you would rather talk about it, I'll give you, whatever you need to invite people.
However you'd rather do it, Mayor, it's fine with me. But basically what it amounts to is myself and Attorney General Patrick Morrissey will be having a town hall meeting a week from this Monday from 6 until 7:30. Give you an opportunity to broach a whole range of topics, especially with the Attorney General. I know one of the big topics that I've been involved with over the past month or so has to do with the rehabs in not only Vienna, but in Parkersburg. So that'll give you an opportunity to maybe discuss some of those issues with the AG. So if you could put that on your calendar and show up and give your input on that or anything else that pertains to moving West Virginia forward, that's things that both he and I would love to hear, would love to have you there. At the Judge Block Annex on the 19th, 6 to 7:30.
It is on our Facebook page, and it is on the front door of the building, so, and I'm sure you'll see more ads for it and what have you, but anyway, before we go into council comments, I'd like to entertain a motion for an executive session to discuss a legal matter.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we go into executive session for a legal matter. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of an executive session, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed, let the record reflect we went into executive session at 7:11. 7:41, that no decisions were made, it was information only. So we're back to council comments. Any comments this evening?
I have a comment. Discussing all these different things that our laundry list of what we want to do in the city, what needs to happen, what we need to prioritize. I had a resident reach out to me about a comprehensive plan. Where's our master plan for the city of Vienna? Which got me thinking about, that would be very helpful as we go forward to have a blueprint to know where we're going. And so I guess my question to you, Mayor, is when are we going to do our comprehensive master plan?
We're already in the middle of it. We're working with West Virginia University. We're doing it in conjunction with the county. And so we haven't got the report back. When it comes back, you'll get a chance to review it. But we are into the comprehensive plan.
Okay, because I understood this when it happened before, and I think the last plan was 2007 when it came out. That went through the planning commission, so I guess that's how I thought it was.
It already has been to the planning commission.
Okay, when was that?
When we first started this, everyone was given the 10-year plan and asked to rewrite whatever they didn't like, rewrite whatever suggestions that they have. It's already been to the planning commission.
Well, I mean, Parkersburg when they did it, I mean, their process was really open and included the public. You know, I guess it is what it is. It's already set in
Oh,
motion.
no, there's nothing said at all. We're waiting on WVU to come back with their write-up. There's nothing set. It's, okay, I mean.
So when it comes back, then what's the process?
Then it'll be reviewed. You all have to approve the 10-year plan.
Okay.
Okay?
There's no reason you couldn't.
No, I mean,
make
it's,
changes.
but, I mean, it got slowed down because of COVID. That's, that kind of shelved it. But, you all are the final decision on this thing. It's, it's still a work in progress.
Okay.
Okay? I mean, but it's went to the planning commission. It went here. Okay?
I go to those meetings. I missed the meeting they had last week because I don't.
Oh, it's been months.
Right. I mean, I was never at that meeting, so I didn't know when that happened, but.
I mean, everybody got the previous 10-year plan. It's interesting because when you look at the previous 10-year plan, we accomplished almost everything that was in that 10-year plan. So
Sure.
it's a good document, okay? But where do you want to go the next 10? That's the issue.
Right.
Yeah, so it's still out there. It's not been shelved yet.
Which, speaking of the planning commission, they had a meeting last week, and I think it was last week, I'm not really sure, but can we get when those meetings are going to happen on the website? Because I would have really liked to have gone to that meeting, but I didn't know about it. I can't always make it to the front window there to see what's coming up.
It could be done.
Okay. That would be very helpful.
The only thing, and not to the issue of whether they go on the web or not, I just remind you that planning commission doesn't generally have a set time, a set number of meetings like council does every
Right.
Thursday. They meet as is necessary.
Well, actually, we're now required to meet at least quarterly.
Right.
Right.
Yes. I'm sorry.
So, but
Correct.
But I was told that, there were some meetings because there were new businesses coming into town, there's things that had to be discussed, so.
Yeah, that's correct. Under statute, they are required to meet quarterly.
Okay, any other comments? I have two. This weekend is a family fun weekend. There'll be a band, Roger, tomorrow over in Spencer Park. And then Saturday will be the family events and the movie night. I had an opportunity this week to go do the ribbon cutting at the Parkersburg Country Club. They've rebuilt their pool and a lot of the area around it. It is absolutely fantastic what those people did. That old swimming pool that was up there, they tore the deck off. They put a liner in it. They built this huge patio area. They've got a workout facility, all new locker rooms. And they even went to the expense of putting in a golf driving simulator. Okay? But they put in a 0 entry walkway into that pool that is absolutely as nice as anything I've ever seen. It goes from 2 inches to 18 inches. When you get to the end of it, it's got steps where you can sit down. Over on the other side, they have swim lanes so that they can have swim team and have competitions. And then over on the far side, they've still got a diving board because they were grandfathered in. And so on the far side, they have a baby pool, which is not a large baby pool at all. It's only about 10 inches deep and it's kidney shaped, but it's a baby pool. Has its own separate chlorination system. And these guys, they went to the new technology where they make their own chlorine. I never heard of such a thing. Yeah, you take salt and you make your own chlorine. It's very common.
Sounds dangerous.
All right. But at any rate, this facility that I looked at is less than half of the estimate that we got.
Good.
Less than half. Okay. And it's the same engineering firm. All right. And they built that thing in 10 months. And if they hadn't ran into the delays with supply, they'd have been done in 8. All right. So at some point, we're going to go for a road trip. We're going to load all you up. We're going to go to the country club. And we're going to look at that swimming pool because I'm telling you what they have would work super for us. Really nice. And if you take out all of the extra things, the driving simulator, the patio deck, all of that will be way less than what they were. And so it's.
So we're gonna have a Caddyshack day at the country
We are gonna
club.
put on your straw hat and we're going to look, okay? I'm gonna invite you to go look. I can't make you go, but I'm telling you, when you see it, it's incredible.
I like field trips.
That's the only way I'm.
Man, it's nice. It is.
Same.
So, anyway,
Oh, we have the record.
something to look at. All right. Anything else tonight? I'm sorry I called you Christian. That's my bad. You're just a big guy like he is, and you know.
I won't even hold your breath.
And he's a good guy too, so you got to cut me some slack. All right, meeting adjourned.